So basically, it's an unscheduled live stream. I was just sitting tying up a few of these flies, and the reason I was tying them up is because last night I was sitting with a dram, going over Facebook, and I seen a fly that Marion done, and it was kind of a cross between a cormorant and a nymph. It looked really good, and I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit further. So I've been having a little play this morning with this pattern, and I'm going to show you how to tie it now. So I'll just get another hook out the packet. Now I've got a Hanak H230 barbless hook at size 10 in the vise, and it's on a medium wire and it's in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using is the Fish On Ultimate Tying Silk in black, and before I start lashing the silk to the shank, I'm just going to add a little bit of super glue. Then I can spread that out and start to get a bed of silk onto the hook. Once I've just gone by the point, I can come in with my scissors and remove my rat's tail. Don't ever try and, you might see some tyers with normal uni thread just snapping it away. You can't do that with this nano silk, it's far too strong for that. Now, first thing I'm going to do is tie in my magic quill. So this is, I've had it for a wee while now, it comes from Gaga flies, and they come in various sizes. I think they've got like large, medium and small, and I've got one of the large ones out. The small ones are great for doing things like river flies mostly. Now as you can see, the magic quill is tapered and there's a black band, and then below it's quite clear. Now I want quite a lot of the clear to show, so I'm going to tie it in at this point, a couple of turns, and then I can just remove the excess piece I've got at the front. Next I'm going to add in some gold tinsel, and this is a Lure Flash product. It's dual tinsel, medium, and I'll just take a little bit off the reel, and I want the gold to show through on this one, so I'm going to tie it with the gold to the body of the fly. I'm going to come back a couple of turns to make sure there's no scruffy ends, and then I'm going to come up the shank of the hook all the way to the thorax area, and I'm going to work backwards to build a small taper into the body. I hope you are all doing well through this lockdown. I think if I didn't tie flies or had a dog to walk, I'd be pulling my hair out at this juncture. No fishing. I didn't think it would bother me as much as it is, but I really am missing getting out and casting a line. But hey ho, everyone's in the same boat I suppose. If you're lucky enough to have fishing on your doorstep, then I really envy you at this time. So I'm just wrapping the shank now with the gold body. Then once I've got it up to the front, I can lock that into place with a couple of turns of the gold. If comments are being made, if you bear with me, I will pause and have a quick look and answer any questions. Let's have a look. Nope, nothing since the last time. So I'm going to batter on. So I've now got that into place. I'm going to bring my magic quill, minus that bit of hair, up the body of the fly. and the first turns onto the shank of the hook, and then I can just bring it up. It's a little bit tacky on the underside, so it does adhere to the body quite well, and with a large quill that I'm using here, you can see the gold shines through quite nicely, which I thought, well, I think this is how Brian tied his nymph. It was certainly, it's not often I see a fly and think, oh, that's got a lot of potential, but I did see that, and I appreciate the inspiration, Brian. So I've locked that down with a couple of turns, and I'm just going to discard that waste piece. Next then, I'm going to add a layer of UV resin. To the body, and this just makes it pop a little bit more. I mean, it's fairly robust material, the magic quill, so there's no a requirement to give it a layer of UV resin, but I just think with this kind of quilling material, if you give it a coat of resin, it really pops the body a bit more. It really shines out on the fly. Make sure you dry it off properly. I'm just going to undo my bobbin a wee bit more while I'm drying this, because the next bit it'll help, and I'm fairly content that's okay. Now I'm going to add some jungle cock cheeks, and as you can see that all the good feathers are mostly gone. I've kind of cleaned it out at the bottom there, so I'm going to grab one of the smaller ones from the other side of the cape, and it's already got a little split in the eye. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on the camera, but it's already got a split, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. Take away the guard hairs there, and I'm just going to encourage the split to continue down the feather, and then with a couple of turns I'm just going to see how it's sitting on your side. Yeah, pretty good. And then I can come back and grab the tip there, excuse my fingers, and I'll just remove that. So I'm going to bring my thread all the way back up to the jungle cock. Now the distance I've got is about 1/8 of an inch from the eye of the hook there. Just going to try and remove that a little bit. It's getting on my nerves. There we go. And the next thing then is the little bit of dubbing in behind the wing, and what I'm using for this is a Troutstalker dubbing. This is the Highland Peat, and I have got a little thing that I've cut here and it's just not coming through. I'm just going to try and encourage that. Nope, I'm going to have to go in through the packet. This is what happens when you try and be a smart arse. Okay, so I've got a little bit out of the packet. Now I don't need all this, I need probably that much. I'm going to put that to the side flow because that's going to come in handy for the front. Just not taking enough, bear with me. And I'm just going to grab my bodkin, get it in behind the thread, flatten all that out, lay it onto my finger, and it's just easy to split the thread. Now I had a question there about why do you always split the thread, and the reason is, and I'm going to do it quite high up, try and get this onto camera, is you get a proper brush. When you split your thread and use it like a dubbing loop, you get a brush rather than a clump of dubbing. Now some people would argue that you could put a clump of dubbing on and then just tease it out with a brush. I think that's possible, but what you end up with is too much thickness in this section here, and you don't get that really nice flat detailing behind the head there. So that's the reason I do it. I can't remember who asked that, but I hope that was it Aaron. I hope that answers your question. Next, I'm going to add in the wing. I'm using some Comp Candy Blackjack Marabou, and I've got a feather that I've been working with here. So I'll just grab, I take about a thumbnail's worth for this fly. Some of my cormorants are dressed a bit sparser, some are dressed a bit heavier. It just depends on what I want to do with them at the time. I'm just going to cut the waste off camera into my bin, lick the end, or dampen down the end at least, and then get that tied in. Make sure you've clamped firmly down onto the Marabou. There's nothing worse than tying on a cormorant and then finding that you've got the wing in this hand and the hook in this hand and they're a good distance apart because you've not tied it in properly. Now, and to finish off, the other extra little bit of dubbing that I pulled out the packet, I can again spin my thread anti-clockwise and just open up a little bit of dubbing loop there. I'm going to slip that in, and then I can spin it up. Now I've done that, the resin I'm using is it's called Solaris, and it's called UV Bone Dry. Now I don't know where you're located, but I've had a look recently to see if I could find it, and it's not as easy to get a hold of as it once was in the UK. It used to, when Toby Merrigan had Funky Fly Tying, that's where I got it from, but I think now you might have to go further afield. So I've now got my head into position. Now to finish off, I'm simply going to add a little bit of the Solaris Bone Dry. Doesn't need much. Then I can come in with my whip finish tool. Make sure I cure it. Then I can remove the thread, and if there's any little bits that I'm just not happy with, come in with a set of tweezers, just take away the strands, and there we have the finished fly. It's a great wee looking cormorant. I can't wait to try it, although I might have to wait to try it, but yeah, there we go. Thanks very much for tuning in if you've caught it live, and I'll have a go at editing it out and trying to get it a little bit better next time. Hi Chris, hope you're well. Hi Brian, yep, you're absolutely right. I often use, more often than not, use goose bites rather than jungle cock. It's too expensive nowadays to be messing about. Oh, I can take that off. I can take the binoculars off. Oh, let's have a looky. Yeah, Malcolm, it's really, it was a it was Brian Marion's inspiration. It was really is. They look lovely, and I've got one here that I tied. I've been tying a few of these today, and this is it with just opossum at the front, and yeah, I quite like this as well, but I just think the Highland Peat is probably set it off. Yeah, I think one of the last times I went fishing, Chris was on the Frome. I've had managed a couple of days at Albury, but then we got locked down and that was that. So there we go. Right folks, I'll hopefully this will be edited and up for viewing on the channel as normal. It was just a little experiment really, because I think I'm going to be working from home quite a bit more in the future, and if I've got the facility to do live stream, it's obviously easier for me to do it from home rather than have to go into the office. Yeah, Chris, I remember. It just seems like, was it just before Christmas? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to get back down at the Frome for sure. Right, folks, I'm going to come off this format, and I might have a wee go at trying to do the live stream on Facebook and see how we get on with that. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks, and I'll see you all again soon. Stay safe.